Hello everyone, hope you're having an excellent day today. I'm doing pretty good. In this video, we're going to be doing another 12-hour build challenge. Let's go ahead and get started. In a slate of cool classic space themes, M-TRON won the polls overall. Spyrius and Classic Space put up quite a fight, especially on Instagram and Facebook, but YouTube was leaning heavily towards M-TRON, and that's where most of the votes happen. I really enjoy building classic space Lego themes, so you'll see Spyrius and Classic Space get another chance soon, but they gotta win the poll in order to make it on these videos. This is a democracy after all. Normally, this is where I say, let's go sketch it out, but this build is gonna be quite a bit different. In the idea that I posted on my Instagram story, I was hoping to make a giant all-terrain vehicle base for the M-TRON figures to go in, instead of kind of a more landscape-based creation. So because this is really prioritizing that giant vehicle, we're gonna start by looking for specific pieces, particularly big tires and windscreens that are trans neon green. Two very important components of this giant vehicle we're going to work on. So let's go track down the pieces we need to get started on this giant vehicle. All right, we are here in our Lego studio looking at some pieces that we might need here. The obvious first place would be this kind of bin of larger wheels and tires here in the black bins. There's a couple options for us there. We'll get those out. I'll probably set them right here for now. And there's another one just below it we can check out too. Ooh, I'm getting some ideas of those red ones if we can find, yep, there's 4. That's one possibility. And if we're not finding what we need over here, we can go pull pieces from the Mega Core magnetizer in our classic space display. I'd rather not. I'd rather leave it intact completely. However, there's a lot of great pieces that would definitely help us on our mission to make a really cool build from an M-TRON vehicle. So we could pull those tires, we could pull some of those printed pieces for now in order to make a cool mock that's really honestly based off of this concept. So we'll see. But hopefully we can just find it in the parts over there. So looking through these bins of wheels, we had a couple options pop up. The most interesting to me was these 4 giant, I think these are technically Technic wheels in this here, and you got the big rubber pieces on the outside. So these are pretty awesome. And obviously the red color on the inside will work pretty well with M-TRON, which is red, black, and gray, and maybe some white. So these are pretty cool. They're huge. Here's one of the large plastic wheels that would have been on the Mega Core magnetizer over there, and it's slightly bigger than that. So a slight upgrade. The one downside is there's 4 of them. I would have loved 6 wheels to make it a little bit longer of a vehicle, but I think we can probably make it work with 4. We'll see. I still want this vehicle to be able to kind of maybe have a turning function, either with just the wheels or like there's a hinge in the middle of the cabin, if you know what I'm saying, kind of like the one over there. So yeah, I think we can move forward with these though. We need to be decisive and not waste too much more time. So we're gonna do a big 4-wheeler and try and make it as cool as possible. Lots of neon green available to us here. I would have loved it if these guys did not have that big Blacktron 2 logo on them. I know it's cool, but a plain one would have been nice too. Oh well. Probably can't figure out a way to cover those. We have this corner piece, which is exactly the same as in the ship over there, or the vehicle over there. So that would work. I don't know if I want to do exactly the same, and I don't know if I want it exactly that big. We'll see. Kind of curious about these roundy ones. It might be too round. Stuff like this is neat though. All right, we have our 4 giant tires over here, which will provide the scale needed and the support needed to get this vehicle moving around. We've got a nice little collection of these kind of curved windshield panels. Actually, they're just panels, they're not windshields, but I'm going to convert them into windshields. Most important aspect of these are these two corners, which will make the kind of rounded shape we need for the front, and then maybe have a few on the sides as well for side viewing windows so you can see the terrain as you're driving by. So I think this will be just enough for what we need to do. We don't want to make it too gigantic, we want to make it pretty large. So finding that happy medium. All right, update number 1 of the M-TRON giant vehicle. We've gotten about an hour and a little bit more into the build. We started about around 11:45, so not doing too bad on time. And we've got quite a chassis in front of us here. We've got the wheels established into some Technic bricks, kind of like these. So it has a nice stable platform to attach to the chassis. We've got that big joint in the center, which allows it to kind of have that dynamic turning action and movement, which is kind of a staple feature of the main M-TRON set we're sort of kind of mimicking here. It's not like a true set remake, but definitely taking a lot of inspiration from giant M-TRON sets of the past. We've got the windscreen idea out on the front to kind of trying to figure out how high or low I want it to be. I do want it very much in the front of the vehicle. I like where that is, maybe a brick or two higher. We'll see how that works. Kind of don't want to get too close to the wheels, want a little bit of a wheel well going on. So lots of experimentation to do, but I feel pretty good for pretty early in the build having this much progress established. This joint could be a place of weakness or a stress or failure point here for the vehicle. It seems pretty sturdy right now, definitely has a nice smooth movement action there, and I've done a little bit of stress testing with this big USB battery here, and it seems to have no problem turning, moving with significant amount of weight, probably more than what the bricks would be. This is a couple pounds, and I think it'll be good. Hopefully it's not, it will at least be pretty accessible. If there's any issues, we could kind of change it up if we need to. But liking where we're going so far, a few things to work on. I'm probably going to try and reduce the overall length of the wheelbase just a little bit. Let me just turn it on the side and show you guys what I'm talking about here. So under here, which is not very supported yet, we'll add more plates like this underneath and give it some texture and detail. But underneath here we have these longer Technic beams, kind of determining the length of each section of the vehicle. And I think if we reduce those by 2, it would be a little bit shorter overall and not quite so much space between the wheelbase and hopefully less likely to get stuck over rough terrain, maybe a little bit better shape, better compositional size for the vehicle. So I'm going to experiment with that before we go too much farther and see if I like it a little bit more compact. But yeah, loving where we're at so far. Let's get the rest of this thing done. All right, update number 2. We've got the windscreen and the interior area looking pretty cool. We've got the big M-TRON logo up here at the front. We've got a roof rack for, you could probably tie down some stuff here. We're going to have a removable modular section here that you could either put a radar dish or maybe a turret or more supplies. I'm going to hopefully have a couple options that can swap in and out of this modular roof section, because it should be able to remove and reveal the cabin inside. I haven't detailed out the cabin yet, but there's plenty of room for many minifigures and a little entrance out the back. So you can kind of play, hopefully, kind of pose some figures in there, have a fun time with this vehicle. It's not just airtight, sealed off where you can't access it. The giant tires are working good. The flexible section in the middle is a lot of fun, and it's holding up still pretty well. The one thing I will say is if you kind of take pictures from the wrong angle, it definitely has some big gaps if you're not careful. But if you just kind of keep it straightforward and you just look at it at the right angles, it's not too bad, hopefully. Hopefully it's not bugging people too much. I think it should be totally fine if I'm careful with how I pose it and take pictures. That's what's important. On the back here, we've got some big surface areas for some tail lights or structure to the vehicle. So just lots of studs, lots of brackets. Up here, we've kind of got the shape of the wheel well in here kind of organized. That's a big platform. We can have a giant crane or a missile launcher or a big drill. Hopefully, again, more modular options for there, because in the M-TRON lore, it's supposed to be either a rescue vehicle or a mining vehicle, depending on what region of the world you're from. So I'm more familiar with the mining side of M-TRON, but rescue is also basically supposed to be like the fire department in space. So blue lights kind of suggesting a little bit more rescue operations vibe, but swappable pieces hopefully will respect both sides of the coin here. Got a little door meant to look like a door on the side. I'm not 100% sure of that design. I also tried a pure square one. It's not quite doing it for me. I'll have to kind of rework it a little bit. We'll see. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with this build. It is now about 5:52, and we started this build at 11:45, so we're now 6 and change hours left. So I feel like we're doing pretty good as far as our goal, which is make a giant vehicle. I would love to have just a couple hours to spare at the end of the build time in order to make a little landscape for this to go on. Doesn't have to be too complicated, pretty flat, but just something for this to kind of be driving over would be cool. Got a couple figures over here, need to organize those and get them fixed up. Interior space, some modular things to go on top of the vehicle, finish out the vehicle, and I think we'll be doing really good. A very nice M-TRON build for a single day of building. Another update for the M-TRON vehicle. We've got some more details added to the top, like this radar dish. We've got this gray greebling. I'm not even sure what these would do. Are they shield generators? Are they exhaust ports? You be the judge. We've got a new door design, which I like a lot. That's pretty much exactly how I would do it. We've got some details in the back, and we're starting to flesh out the vehicle a bit more. I would say this front section is pretty much done. However, there's a couple of things that have come to mind that I think need to be addressed and fixed before we move on further. The flexible midsection is still technically functioning fine, but the more I look at it and the more I do things with it, I think it's more of a distraction than a feature. It's just not quite working at this scale. I think this is a smaller vehicle, and if it was a little bit more freeform and loose and not so blocky, I think it would work fine, but given it's just two distinct chunks attached by very little in the middle, it's just not quite working for me anymore. So I'm going to redo this middle section and fuse these two pieces together with maybe a small area of black in between the two areas. So it should bring it a little bit closer and have it be a rigid, solid piece, which I think will actually complement the style of building for this vehicle and make it look better. It's also worth mentioning, I do like the design of this ladder on the left, but I think that the ladder is supposed to be getting on top of the vehicle so that you can access the crane, which will be over here on the right. The door is supposed to be so that you get inside the vehicle, which is mostly on the left, not the right. So if we swap these two things, it'll make a lot more logical sense. And it'll be easy to swap those two things if we're redoing the center section, which is relatively independent of the left and right sides. So we just need to rework this interior section, rearrange a few things, fuse it together, and I think we'll be good to go. As far as time, it's a little after 8 right now, and according to my timer, we have right about 5 hours left. And that would bring us to a very, very late evening. I don't think this old, tired Lego builder can go all the way to midnight. We'll probably wrap it up just before then. But given that we have several hours left after a nice lunch break and dinner break have extended this day longer than I normally would like, we have plenty of time to fix those errors, add some things to the back, and maybe even do a little landscape, and we should have a really solid mock that I'm really liking. So let's go ahead and enact those changes we're planning and get this thing done. Hello everyone. We have a gigantic M-TRON vehicle here on a beautiful alien landscape. The build is done and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I was just a little bit worried during the middle of the video when we were having to rework this middle section, but I'm pretty happy with that decision. I think it was the right one. This vehicle looks great, just straightforward, 4 big tires, kind of rigid appearance, but I think it looks good. We've got the M-TRON figures down here with their little metal detectors looking for anything magnetic. I'm so glad LEGO produced some new space figures, so M-TRON figures got a bit of an upgrade with those legs and torso. You got the giant crane with another giant magnet on there. I don't know what exactly that'd be used for. Maybe picking up other vehicles, searching for stuff underground. All I know is it's probably playing havoc with this radar sonar up here, so hopefully it doesn't backfire and mess up the vehicle. Big shout out to my brother Steven who made this entire crane assembly and the magnet. I would have definitely not had enough time to make something that elaborate and interesting, so it would have been very underwhelming what I would have put up there. So huge shout out to him. Go follow him on Instagram, brothersteven100. Really appreciate him popping down for an hour to build this for me. But yeah, the rest of the build is all me. I'm very happy with the shape of the windscreen on the front of the vehicle. I think it looks just right. This middle section is removable. And you can see a sort of detailed interior there. Nothing too fancy. A seat, some controls, a tool rack, storage. Nothing too crazy. I love the color of the landscape, the purple and lavender with those kind of transparent satin pink ferns. Very alien, but very cool. I think it's a nice color contrast with the rest of the vehicle. This is yet another mock that I'm really excited to bring to conventions. I think other LEGO fans will really enjoy seeing it. As far as time spent building, it is now 11:38. We started around 11:45 or so this morning. So almost exactly 12 hours total building time. But I did pause the timer while eating lunch and dinner. So even if I hadn't, we would have been just okay, especially with a little help from Steven. So good job on the time this time, although it is kind of late for my taste. I think I just need to start these a little bit earlier than 11. Speaking of next time, I think I'm gonna have to revisit some adventures or perhaps some Wild West. Keep an eye out for that poll on the community tab. Thanks a bunch for watching this video. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and all that jazz. It helps this video reach more people and more people can see my mocks because of it. And shout out to all the members who support the channel directly. Really appreciate you guys. That's gonna be it for today, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.